What's up, everybody? Welcome back to TheBiringPodcast. Today we got Canada's finally getting an election.
It's about damn time. Definitely not when everybody wanted one, but it's here.
We'll take it. Then we got Canada's drop to 18th on the Global Happiness Report.
18th? That's depressing.
Next we got, there has been an increased amount of hate towards Tesla.
Yeah. How's your Tesla stock looking right now?
And then the Celtics recently sold for a record-breaking $6.1 billion.
6.1? What's that, like 3 times what the Clippers sold for?
I guess so, but what are the Clippers doing now? And after all that, what do we have for off topic?
So we got Prenups, a Smart Gun, Cocomelon, and a couple other stories.
And stay tuned for the question segment at the end.
We'll give you our thoughts and opinions on all of that. Also, go like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and go follow us on Instagram and TikTok at TheBiringPodcast. So let's start with Canada. Looks like you're getting an election. The timing of this thing is a little weird, right?
Yeah.
You had the parliamentary break, right? And then Trudeau resigns, prorogued parliament. Liberals get a new leader, Carney, right?
Yeah.
And then he basically spends the next couple of weeks adopting all of Poilievre's plan.
Yeah, pretty much. So, like, Carney doesn't really have a platform that we know of, so we got to go with whatever we've seen so far. So his main things he's done so far, he's gotten rid of the consumer, not commercial, but consumer carbon tax, the capital gains hike that the Liberals had. He said he's getting rid of, and he's also waiving the waiting period for employment insurance, the 1 week waiting period, and GST on new homes under $1 million. If that sounds familiar, Poilievre was talking about that for a while now. They've also expanded dental coverage to the age range from 18 to 64 for families with a net income under 90K.
Yeah, that's
families.
Family income.
Under 90K.
Under 90K, which is no one. Like, I'm sure there's people out there, like, I don't mean to be insensitive, but it's hard to live off a $90,000 family.
For
income.
sure.
Yeah.
Right. So, like,
entire household.
And what they're trying to do there, they're trying to squeeze it in right before the elections even start. It seems like they're trying to buy votes really quickly. Why else would you be so interested in getting it done before the elections start?
Right.
Right. And then the whole thing about keeping, I guess, Parliament prorogued for so long, right?
Yeah.
And all of legacy media in Canada is basically left-leaning, right? So Poilievre's getting basically no coverage, right? And then you spend a couple of weeks when Carney becomes Prime Minister, right?
Yeah.
He spends the time, basically anything that Poilievre's running on, he's like, I'm going to hijack this now and try to change it, right?
Yeah.
It's not like any laws are placed. It's not like any of that's happening. All he's doing is trying to undermine Poilievre's campaign, right?
Yeah.
When in reality, he's not even giving anyone what he's actually running on.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever idea Poilievre has, as much as he criticizes him, his main take is like, okay, let me just take that. That sounds like a good idea. Let me just take it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's, I don't know, it's a little, the timing of everything and how it's playing out is kind of clever.
Yeah, it's definitely not, like, even now, right? The snap election that they're going to call, what does that do? Nobody can get in parliament. He can't really talk. He can't really campaign in front of people. And like you said, there's not much coverage for the right in Canadian media. And he's just, he had a bunch of ideas that he liked. Oh, you guys like these ideas? I'm going to start adopting them, right? That's all we really know of it.
Yeah. I mean, it just, the whole thing feels a little weird to me. I don't think there's enough people talking about it.
Yeah.
But there's no Joe Rogan in Canada, right?
Yeah.
And there's no individual media or some podcast that's like incredibly massive, that's mass consumed. So you get a lot of local media that usually leans left, and then you get a lot of these big media stations that's also leaning left, right? So it seems like a time when you're basically kind of hijacking the election. Like, it's weird, right?
Yeah, it seems really unfair.
Yeah.
What's Poilievre supposed to do? How is he supposed to campaign if they're not giving him any airtime, like other than his YouTube channel?
Yeah. And then when you're on your YouTube channel, people subscribe to you are probably just your base, right? So you're just telling them things that they already know, right?
And they already support you.
Yeah. So it's a very clever way of campaigning, especially if you're
unfair. I don't even think it's clever. It's unfair. How is that even allowed?
Well, it's part of
Like, let's compare it to the States. At least Kamala still got to campaign, whether she was going to win or not, right? What happened in this situation?
the sneaky thing is, like, imagine if they made Kamala president,
Yeah.
right? Which when they were saying that, Americans were on fire.
Yeah.
But if they did that and then Kamala took that time to adopt some of the policies that Trump was saying, right?
Yeah.
These guys saw that and they learned from it.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, let's make him prime minister beforehand. Trudeau's going to lose this election anyways.
Yeah.
So Trudeau, you resign. We'll make Carney prime minister. And then whatever Poilievre's saying, the good things he's going to do, let's try to adopt some of those to undermine his whole campaign.
Sneaky.
It's so sneaky.
Yeah.
And I don't think Canadians are gonna fall for it, but then you see all these bots online, right? And the whole narrative online is even the discourse is Carney's so great and he's the Bank of Canada governor. To me, he just seems like an elitist and a globalist. He's the furthest thing from relating to the average Canadian, right? The first thing he did was jump on a flight to go to Europe right when he got elected, or not even selected.
Exactly. And he's also the former bank of the former governor for the Bank of England, too, right?
Yeah.
And first thing he does is run off there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was that a little alarming to anybody? Wouldn't that be a little concerning?
I don't know.
I feel like if he wants to run, like, do a proper campaign, run against Poilievre, do a debate, do it like how you're supposed to do it. Don't just be given the title and now just assume that it's just gonna. I don't know. Like, I understand Canadians, like, liberals been in, like, for so long. Right?
Yeah.
Been liberal. So, like, I understand that they're, like, used to that. They think that that's the way to go. They don't really know too much about well, at least I didn't before we started doing this.
Yeah.
So they're gonna, I don't know that they're even, like, I'm trying to think our parents, like my dad's just gonna, he's not gonna do any research on what Poilievre stands for. He's just gonna vote liberal.
Yeah, you just go on based off what you've always
And
done.
then now you're gonna kind of blocking Poilievre from, like, media.
Yeah.
So how's he gonna find out anyway? Like, how does this work?
Yeah.
What are the polls looking like for the election? I think I saw on CBC they're basically neck and neck.
Pretty close. I think they're 1 point difference on the polls.
Yeah, liberals are 37.8% and conservatives 37.2, right?
Yeah.
And NDP is obviously killing it 11.4.
Yeah.
Jagmeet's policies. But I think I saw, what was the Ipsos poll? I think that
It was a little bit off.
Yeah.
It was like 37 and 42 last time I checked.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're basically saying liberals are leading in these polls, and I think these are, like, at this point, like, about a week old.
Yeah.
I look at these polls and I'm like, I don't even know who goes and votes in these polls.
Yeah.
Right?
That's one thing.
Sorry, no, it's 36 and 38.
36 and 38 for Ipsos. So those are neck and neck polls.
Yeah.
Right. And I
It's gonna
think
be a tight race.
I think even though I don't agree with a lot of things Kevin O'Leary says, because he sides a lot with Donald Trump, it's like his buddy.
Yeah.
But when he was talking about this, I briefly heard him talk about how it's the same thing that happened in the U.S. elections, right? And it's not really true. Right?
Yeah.
Like when Kamala first came on the scene, there was this massive amount of support for her, and as you waited, you realize that that's not what the reflection of the country was.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the same thing's happening here. I don't think people have forgotten what's happened in the last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years.
Yeah.
Right. But I think a part of it is people are just going for Carney because he was this, I don't even want to call this a campaign that he ran, right? Because he obliterated them. They already knew who they were going to choose.
Yeah,
Everyone knew who they were going to choose, right? And then once he gets in, there's just this massive support. I feel like a lot of money's been spent on ad spend, and I think there's getting his name out there, even online. Even the engagement we get on our small little podcast, right? Before any of this happened, you would get some right-wing pushback if you even said something moderately liberal or something. Now it's all liberal. You get all left-wing ideology push. And if you say anything negative about Carney, it seems like it's like talking points. They just explode.
Right away.
Yeah.
You know what annoys me? The rhetoric that I see online. It's just people, first of all, they just blindly accept that this is our prime minister now, right? And then there's a lot of teaching. Like right away, oh, this is how our political system works. I think we all know how it works. I understand. You can understand how something works and still think it's stupid. I think it's so dumb. I understand that you elect the party and then he's the party leader and he's now the prime minister, right? I still think it's dumb. That's why we don't cook over fire anymore, right? We use stoves because you progress. and you have change. You do things that make sense, right? It's like maybe that needs to change. I would like to see a change.
People just change the face, like the leader's face, and now they like are all on board. I think people are upset with Trudeau
Yeah.
the past 9 years, but they did like a facelift, and now they're like on board to be support again.
It's kind of what you were saying. What happened in the States, right?
Yeah.
It's very, very similar to what happened there.
How were the polls in the States?
They were heavily favored toward Kamala right when she came on.
Right when she came in, I think after that debate.
After the debate.
She was up like 7 points at like a certain point.
The crazy thing is here, you're not really seeing what Carney's platform is. He's just basically, like I keep saying, he's hijacking Poilievre's
Every single thing.
His whole thing is, so this guy, he's a CEO or chair of Brookfield Asset Management, right? And the headquarters moved to New York from Toronto, right? So then you have that, and he's talking about conflicts of interest and everything that's going on there. Even if you don't want to touch on that, his only plan that I've even heard him moderately mention, I think it was on immigration, and he was saying the student visas are unacceptable or something. That's the only thing I've basically heard him. Like that seemed like his own idea. Right. But even that, I don't see anything outside of. To me, he just seems like a globalist. Right. To a person who's not Canada first. He's the furthest. Like when I see him, I think he recently even had some ad. It's like so cringy for me to watch. I didn't even want to get through the whole thing. But I see him. I don't see somebody who's like your everyday Canadian. He doesn't seem like somebody who's for Canada. He
keeps taking shots at like Poilievre too. He never worked in the private sector, right? But at least he's been a career politician. Right? I don't know.
At least Poilievre's, to me, even seems more like a Canadian than this guy does. This guy seems like exactly what they say he is. A Harvard graduate, and he seems like a banker. Right? And if that's who you want leading your country, cool. Right? That's not something I want. Somebody I want leading my country, right? A banker, an elitist, right? Somebody who's going to talk down and tell you this is what's right. We've had a lot of that with Trudeau.
So much.
Right? He wasn't a banker, but that was kind of his attitude. Right? And now everyone's supposed to fall in line with this guy.
Even if you go on like his website, it doesn't even tell you his platform.
He doesn't have any.
It's done in such a sneaky way. He's going
It just talks about his family life and how he grew up.
It's done in such a sneaky way. The whole thing is for him to, they're trying to say that he's separate from Trudeau, and they're trying to undermine Poilievre's campaign. They're not saying all of the things.
To steal his ideas.
Steal his ideas. So to me, if you're going to look at all of that, I feel like, why wouldn't you, if everything's the same, why would you give the guy a shot? Why would you give the party a shot that's been messing up Canada for the last 9 years? I'd rather vote for a trash can.
You know what I think it is? I think it's like people are just like lifelong liberals. They think of themselves as that. And so now that the face of the party has changed, they think it'll be different. But my values are still liberal, so I'm going to vote liberal no matter what. But it's like you should research more and learn about the policies and learn about the candidates, and maybe your opinion should change with each election.
For sure.
Also, are people aware of Poilievre's platform? Like, how do they know he's stealing it? Carney.
They don't. I don't think they do know it. I think.
But then there's also that.
That
they think like he's coming up with these brilliant ideas.
Original, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he just says carbon tax Carney, and then this guy goes and he goes carbon tax is going to be zero, right? Then I think he one of the other things he was running on Poilievre was he said, like you were saying, the GST, and then he's like, there'll be no GST on any new houses built.
That's directly from. Poilievre's been saying that for a while.
And I'm sure other things are going to come up. You're going to see him hijack those too. I just feel like that's what this is going to be. I think their whole strategy is like, hey, listen, if Poilievre comes up with something, say we're going to do that too. That's the strategy.
They're going to have like a debate and stuff, right?
Hopefully. I thought they would, but I now feel like in a debate, I think Carney's going to get home. I think he's like Kamala. Right? You're good at making speeches in front of people who go, oh my God, you're so great. And they worship the ground you walk on. The second you're in a room with somebody that's like, the shit that you're saying, I'm not buying.
For sure.
Right? The shit that you're selling, I'm not buying that. He's not one to, I don't know, it doesn't seem like he's like one to fight back on that.
You think too, like what Samir was saying with the liberals polling so well, I feel like here, much like in the States where the black vote is predominantly towards Democrats.
Right.
I feel like here it's like the immigrant vote is just liberal because they feel like they owe so much to that party because when they came here, it was liberals in power, and they've been I think they just blindly vote liberal.
Right.
They're holding on to the values they've had 20 years ago, years ago.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Simmer was saying, you have to objectively look at every single election, right? I'm not saying that I'm just completely right wing all the time, blue no matter who.
Yeah.
I'm not saying any of that, right? Like if you elected a conservative government and after 8 years, like some social issues came up and it was really bad, then you're going to have to go the other way. That's how you hold governments accountable.
Right.
And that's how you progress as a country.
Yeah.
If you're just going to let these guys just run rapid with their ideas, right? And whatever they think is good for the country, 9 years, if you're going to do it for another 4, what do you think is going to happen with this trade war? People they're also weaponizing this trade war, right?
Sure.
But I mean, to your point about Punjabi, the immigrant vote, if you're going to talk about Punjabi people specifically, it's almost taboo to vote conservative, which is weird, right? Outside of the younger generation, maybe millennials and stuff, sure, right? But any boomers, like if you go have any conversation with them, they're going to be like, no.
Yeah.
We're all
Remember that episode of Blackish where they kind of talked about this? They were like going to vote Democrat. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Right.
So Andre's mom was like, well, we vote Democrat, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then the daughter was like, okay, well, what do you believe about this, and this? And she was answering like she was a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're basically Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
Parents just believe what they believe, or like that generation.
Yeah. I feel like I'm seeing that like when I talk to people, or just a lot of the youth is leaning towards Poilievre, right? It's just other people, they're older people are stuck in their ways a little bit, right? And I think that's what they need. Like you said, objectivity, right? Just look, I feel like you give somebody 4 straight terms. Does that even happen in the States?
No,
I feel
it
like
would never happen in the States.
Right? 2 consecutive is the most that ever happened.
Because the other side's going to get so annoyed that they're going to be like, this is unacceptable. Right?
Yeah.
Which these checks and balances are good for society. They're good for a country. They should be there.
Just
right. And at this point, this isn't, they're trying to make it the trade war election. They're trying to make it the immigration. They're trying to make it whatever. This is the money election.
Yeah.
Right. Canada needs to stop spending money, and they can't stop.
Yeah.
They like all of these guys' solutions spend more money. That's just all they come up with. We need more. To me, I just see somebody who's trying to buy votes all the time.
Yeah.
Right. And they're trying to stay in power for so long. And if this, I don't know, man, it's in a place where I feel like this is one of the most important elections. I know people say that all the time, every election, but this really is one of those elections that's extremely important for Canada, especially in my lifetime. I don't remember an election that had this much significance. It's
for sure
crazy.
It's a state of the country, and just like everyone's country right now, right?
Yeah.
It's like people are
Other
hurting
countries
everywhere.
too, the way they like look at us even.
Yeah, we're a laughing stock.
Yeah.
Right, because of the shit that Trudeau did, and then now this government, you think they're going to be any different? It's the same people.
Yeah.
They're just trying to do it in a clever way. And the way that they did this whole thing, nobody's really talking about it. Like I keep saying, it's a little disgusting to me how they just kind of hijacked this whole and had this massive plan to do
it's crazy
campaign.
Nobody talks about it. Nobody like is annoyed by it at all.
They just accepted it.
They accepted it.
Yeah, it's so weird.
And then how, like, they even in these ads, like they want to be like Mr. Prime Minister. When did they ever do that?
Yeah.
Right. And you're not prime minister yet. Like you might be.
You got to be voted
because he
by
got selected. But until like the general federal election happens, just calm down a little bit with that.
Elect you.
For sure.
Right. Like he's like, I'm here. Right. Like as if he's been prime minister the last 3 years.
Yeah.
I also feel like if they win,
Or maybe he actually has been. That's why he feels that way.
Yeah.
He's been advising Trudeau. This
well, he has, right? But I feel like if they manage to win this one too, right? At some point, you give them 5 straight terms. A party feels like they're never going to lose. Do you think
they aren't going to lose?
Do you think they'll really like be incentivized to make any real change? Like, we're never going to lose anyway. We'll just keep doing whatever we want.
Man, okay. Before we keep continuing with this, the main issues here are immigration, trade war, and economy.
Yeah.
Right. So let's look at a clip of Poilievre talking about immigration.
The answer is yes. Absolutely. I will stop the insanity. I'm against the Century Initiative. I voted against the Century Initiative in the House of Commons when it came up. It's a radical, crazy idea that's meant for multinational corporate elites to bring in people from poor countries in large numbers to take away Canadian jobs, drive wages down and profits up. And I love the immigrant people. I want I want people to come here in numbers that can actually be housed, employed, and cared for, like we used to have. We used to have a great system. And, you know, people from around the world came here with nothing but a dream and a suitcase, and it worked. But in the last 10 years of the Liberals, it's gotten totally out of control. If they're growing the population by 1.2 million people a year. We're only building 200,000 homes. So our population is growing 3 times faster than our housing stock. No wonder we can't get people can't actually get a place to live. So I'm going to slow immigration down, and I have a very simple mathematical formula. The numbers we let in this year will have to be lower than the number of homes we built in the previous year. So we're always going to be adding homes faster than we add people. And that will allow us to bring down the housing shortage and get rid of the housing shortage altogether, so that young people can afford a place. The other part of that, by the way, we've got to cut the taxes. I'm going to take the GST off new homes. We're going to incentivize the municipalities to speed up permits, free up land, and cut development charges so that you guys here at LiUNA can help build more homes. You'll be laying the foundation on those homes, but you'll also be able to afford to live in them.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. Like you limit the immigration to the number of people that can actually live here.
But do you think, like, as an immigrant hearing that, you'd be hypocritical to support it? I agree with him 200%, but I'm just trying to think, like, where my parents' heads are at.
No, I mean, as a parent, then is it hypocritical, or is it kind of you to vote in a government that's going to continue to raise taxes?
Yeah.
Right? And is going to basically make it incredibly difficult for their kids and their grandkids to live the same living that they did in the 90s.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Like in the 90s, my dad could have, on his income alone, could have probably lived a life that it takes me with investments, with properties, with work, with this podcast, with every single little thing. We have businesses. We work 24/7.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not saying that we're broke by any means.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not something, like, if you want to build something in Canada, you got to work like how we're working, like crazy.
For sure. Yeah.
Right? Otherwise, it's next to impossible.
Yeah.
So to anyone saying that it's hypocritical, like, what do you care about your kids?
Yeah.
Do you care about your grandkids, future generations, or do you just want Canada to continue spending money,
spiraling,
and making it difficult for anyone here to do anything?
Yeah. At least his practices seem reasonable, right? He's not saying he's going to cut out immigration totally, right?
Yeah,
it's not completely extreme right wing. He just wants to cap it a little bit. I think the Liberals want to hit like 1 million. He's just saying we build around 200,000 homes, so let's limit immigration to that number. So when they get here, they have somewhere to live.
For sure. It makes sense what he's saying.
Yeah, it's also on the flip side of it. I think the birth rate in Canada is somewhere around 1.33. It used to be somewhere closer to 4 way back in the 60s, right? And immigrants that do come here, a lot of the time they are older, right? So there is what he was saying about the Century Initiative. That's the idea there is to have Canada's population, I think, to 100 million by 2100.
Yeah.
Right. And they're mainly going to do it through immigration. Yeah. Right. What do you think is going to happen? That's when people start talking about replacement theory, and you're, replacing Canada's population with a massive amount of immigrants. We also live here. But what's going to happen if you start to do that? Right. If Canadians aren't having kids, I don't think the solution is to just up the population to 100 million as fast as you possibly can. If the country doesn't have the infrastructure to withstand that,
they can't sustain it.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you're going to look at that and the birth rate is an issue, then why wouldn't they do what I think Andrew Schultz was talking about in his stand-up special, right? Like how IVF, and he's kind of bringing light to like how difficult it is for older people to consume, right? Naturally conceive.
Yeah. Consume is hard too.
But yeah, I feel like when you look at that, why wouldn't the Canadian government even table anything where, like, I know they have, I think, one IVF cycle to pay for if you get on a list, right? Why wouldn't they just make multiple?
Yeah.
Right? It's not easy for certain people to get pregnant, right? I'm sure there's people that watch
again,
this
where are they going to
podcast.
get that money from?
Well, they're too busy giving it to people who make less than $90,000 to fix their teeth, right? Like, if you're going to
we didn't even talk about Jagmeet, the social justice warrior. What's his main concern? Dental?
Yeah. Also, I feel like this is what he just said You can pretty much bet that within the next few days, Carney's going to say the same thing.
For sure. Yeah.
I bet you he is.
Yeah.
And he's going to run with it.
Yeah, we got to cap immigration.
Yeah.
That seems to be his whole campaign.
He just waits for him to say something.
And then he's going to get more airtime, and then people are going to think it's his original idea.
Also, I don't know when this guy became, Mark Carney did, the poster child of solving the 2008 financial crisis, right? Like, a lot of that had to do
Has that on his website?
Yeah, a lot of that had to do with the stability of Canadian banks, right? In the U.S., there's a lot of shady lending practices going on during 2008, right? Like the no income, no jobs loans, right? The Ninja loans or whatever they're called. In Canada, that wasn't really happening, right? And commodity prices, oil and stuff, right? That's kind of what saved Canada. He just happened to be, I'm not saying that he didn't have some sort of monetary policy that helped, but he just happened to be the governor of the Bank of Canada at the time. Now he's become the poster child for solving the 2008 financial crisis, right? Like from then, when he's been advising Trudeau from 2015 till now, look at the shitstorm that we're in now.
Exactly.
Right? But
that part was omitted from his website.
Right? That part, he's like, I didn't exist until 2024, guys. Like, I don't know who Trudeau is.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
But and for the other issue with the trade war, I think we have a clip of Trump basically talking about both candidates.
The conservative that's running is stupidly no friend of mine. I don't know him, but he said negative things. So when he says negative things, I couldn't care less. I think it's easier to deal actually with a liberal.
Yeah, I think it boils down to he thinks that he can negotiate better with Carney. Because Poilievre, up to this point, he said that he supports counter tariffs, right? But he has stated that he wants to do more trade with the States than we already do. And that's one way to solve the problem.
I mean, okay, it's something that I think a lot of Canadians, because of the 51st state rhetoric, they're not considering the fact that, like, yes, we should build pipelines, we should build infrastructure. All of that stuff takes time, right? And yes, you should find other trading partners, right? Europe is fine, right? It seems like nothing's happening with China. That EV stuff, like that's going to go away because of how they responded with tariffs. And I was reading that, I don't know, there was like 4 Canadian Chinese that got executed in China. Melanie Jolie was talking about it, right?
They're dual citizens.
Yeah, they're dual citizens. I don't know what exactly is going on there.
It was drug related, drug trafficking.
So then we don't know if those were criminals or if they were like innocent Canadians, right?
Yeah.
Like, but the story is being used as if we're not doing business with China, right? So if the liberals' main take is like what Carney's doing, just fly out to Europe and take a couple pictures with Starmer and Macron and be like, okay, we're gonna solve this problem, right? So you really think that your biggest customer as Canada should be Europe?
Yeah.
No, it's delusional, right? At some point, you have to do business with the States, right? You can hate
I don't know
Trump.
about you, but it kind of seemed like he was, I want to say, scared to talk to Trump. So he just flew to Europe.
No. I have a... What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think that he already has ties there, right? For one. The other thing is I do think he's a globalist.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's his actual solution to this, to try to do trade elsewhere. Clearly not China now, but Europe for sure. He wants to go there.
Yeah, he seems like a World Economic Forum guy, a Davos guy. He's a globalist, right? That's who Mark Carney is, right? And nobody's talking about in the UK. Actually, he got a lot of pushback, right? And there was people that didn't like him, especially right wing media, because of his antics, right, and the things that he was doing during Brexit and all that. But I feel like what I was talking about was you saying that why he's not talking to Trump. So basically what he's been doing is been avoiding negative press in any way that he can, right? That's why Poilievre's not in Parliament talking about anything. That's why these elections are going to happen before Poilievre even gets the, Parliament resumes and you even have the chance to talk any kind of shit, right? So what he knows, if he got in a room with Trump or even on a phone, what does Trump do to everybody he talks to, right? There's going to be negative press that comes out of that. And it's going to be something questioning how stupid or how dumb or he's a new governor, or he's a temporary governor. He'll get something and then that's negative press. So he's scared. Like you're saying, he's scared of the negative press. He's not scared of Trump.
The person.
Yeah, he's scared of the negative press. right? And that lets you know he's not, to me, it just seems like one of those clever people that's trying to maneuver around certain, he's not one of those people that are like honest, like, oh yeah, I'm going to deal with these tariffs, right? Theoretically, you would think if you want to claim that he's prime minister, stop jumping on these flights to Europe, go talk to the guy who's down south.
Yeah, right.
But you don't want to lose an election. That's the only reason you're not, right?
It's like, you're a public servant first, right? And these people forget that. Put the needs of your people ahead of your own, right? He's just trying to win the election, right?
Even this when this clip came out, right? Online, I don't know what you guys saw. It seemed like somebody gave them a sentence and everyone who's liberal ran with it. Not gonna fool us.
Yeah.
What
Reverse
was that?
psychology.
Right?
Yeah.
Like reverse psychology is not gonna work. Like, hey guys, like I'm not trying to say that it's not Canada first, but at some point you guys know that we're gonna renegotiate this USMCA.
It has to be done.
Right? Somebody's gonna pick up the phone and be like, hey Trump, like we need to figure this out.
Yeah.
It's not gonna go like this forever. If it is, Canada's gonna be broke.
Yeah.
It's going to be very hard
Even
for
Trump
Canada.
knows that by the midterms he has to deal with this.
He knows. Everyone
Can't
knows.
just leave it in flux.
This isn't the trade war election. They're going to turn it into one.
Yeah.
At some point, you're going to have to negotiate with the U.S., whether you like it or not. It's not feasible financially to just trade specifically and only exclusively with Europe.
Yeah.
So do you think he's not going to talk to Trump until after the election?
He's not going to.
Yeah.
Unless he absolutely has to.
Yeah.
He's not going
You
to.
know what I took from that clip? That Trump was saying, I'm a liberal supporter. Like, I support the liberals in Canada. That's what I took from it. So why wouldn't you go talk to him?
I don't. Trump just says shit. I saw that. And what he said at the end there, he's like, I don't really care who's in power.
Yeah.
I don't. He doesn't.
He doesn't.
I don't think he really cares who's in power. Right? If there actually was a puppet, right, that he could control, then he would care, right?
Yeah.
Trump's also got bigger problems in Canada, right? He's messing around with everyone.
Yeah.
Right? So to us, this is a massive story because it's massively affecting people, and even him saying things affects the stock market and it affects people's jobs and how people are planning for these tariffs. It affects a lot of things, right? But I feel like for him, he's just like, both of them are the same because they're both saying, he doesn't like it when people say not nice things. He's like, he doesn't say nice things about me.
He's not nice to me.
That's what he says. He's like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Right? So
Trump says not nice things about everybody.
Yeah.
Couple.
yeah. I mean, this whole thing with the tariffs and stuff, I didn't think it was going to get hijacked and continue into this election, but I think I was extremely naive in thinking that that's not what's going to happen. That's exactly what's happening. They're trying to turn it into this. They're trying to turn this narrative into it's Canada versus US, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Even the ad.
Sorry.
Even the ad, right? Elbows up.
Yeah.
Trying to run with that.
Not that if push comes to shove and they're messing with our country, obviously we're on Team Canada, right? But it's delusional to think that you're not going to trade with your biggest trading partner at some point. And it's also delusional to think that we're not trading at this very moment.
Yeah.
There's trucks
Still
and stuff going back and forth from the border while we argue about how much taxes we're putting on everything.
It's just proximity. It just makes sense, right? They're right there.
Did you see Olivia Chow? She's like, at the Toronto Mirror, she was like how... I think Toronto staff, they're banning Uber and Lyft for them because those are American companies.
Okay.
Like, who does that make sense to? Do Canadians not drive Ubers?
Yeah. It's hurting Canadians.
Right?
That's crazy.
Even they're showing like on the news and stuff how all the U.S. lines at the airport are empty.
Yeah.
People aren't traveling there because of the tariffs, because of the taxes.
Yeah.
Like they're really pushing that.
I mean, okay, the other side of it, I don't think I have a problem with doing that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because if you feel like we're being treated unfairly, which we are,
Yeah.
right? Then I don't have a problem with somebody saying that, hey, I don't want to go to the U.S. Like the president's doing this to us, right?
That part of it's fine. It directly hurts their economy. But this Uber stuff, like you're also hurting Canadians.
Yeah, then what are we really doing? Why doesn't she just say that, hey, listen, Apple's American. No iPhones, guys.
Yeah.
Right? Is
See
there
how
a
that's
Canadian
received.
alternative? Is RIM going to come back and start making Blackberries? Like, what do we...
Remember those things?
BBM before iMessage?
Yeah.
BBM was cool.
But yeah, I think that's enough about this election, right? Let's move on to... Please like and subscribe, as it really does help the podcast out tremendously. Let's get back to the question, right? Let's move on to Canada dropped to the 18th on Global World Happiness Report.
Damn.
So Canada has slipped to 18th place in the Global World Happiness Report, down 3 spots from last year and placing it among the largest losers in happiness rankings over the last 2 decades. According to an annual report, at its peak in the 2015 report, Canada had placed 5th. Now it's 18th. Canada has dropped to the lowest ever position since the polling began in 2005.
2015. What was that? Last time Conservatives were in power, I think, right? Is that right before Trudeau took office?
That is right before Trudeau took office.
Coincidence?
A little bit, maybe.
5th to 18th, that's quite a drop. Finland's at number 1. I wonder what's going on there.
Maybe they got things right. They got something figured out.
So the article, it stated that the quality of life has decreased significantly amongst Canadians under 30. And the main reason that they cite is like they can't afford anything. Just like these elections, I think that's the main issue going on, especially among younger voters. They can't afford mainly housing, right?
I think the biggest thing, like you can look at inflation and everything, but one of the biggest things is massive mortgages because of price of homes, like you're saying, right? And then that takes away a big chunk of Canadians' paycheck, right?
Yeah.
So then, but I think people under 30 are probably not buying homes, right? That's for somebody who's already well established and fortunate enough to buy homes and be in that position, right? But for younger Canadians, the job market is it's kind of difficult right now, right?
Sure.
And I don't know if they, with high inflation, with all these things, I don't know how they actually feel, right? Like if you feel like a lot of them probably live with their parents.
For sure. It might be like they might not be able to afford a home unless these policies change and the price of housing comes down, right?
Yeah, the price of housing has to come down. But the other thing to think about is, do people actually want the price of housing to come down? Right? Like they say they do.
Yeah.
Right? But like if you have a lot of money, you have a lot of assets, some of that's going to be in real estate. Do you want prices to come down, or do you want
if
them
you
to go up?
hold the house, like someone trying to buy a house.
Yeah.
They obviously want that.
So what liberals typically, well, over the last 2 terms, right, have been raising inflation slowly, right, at its peak and during a time when the pandemic happened, right, you had record high inflation. These guys thought that was the best time to have record high immigration. Let's just both of these things. Right. That's why we got to this mess that we're in. Right. And a part of that is Carney. Right.
For sure.
And that's why inflation went all the way up, and then now it came all the way down. And I think even in February, it came at 2.6%, right? Which in large part, like I said before, I think is going to happen when you do this holiday tax stuff and people start spending more money, right? And then when the reports come out, it seems like inflation's higher.
Yeah. And another thing that comes with mass immigration is like crime, right?
Right.
The crime's been running rampant. I don't know. I see so much of it now.
Yeah. Coincidentally, from 2015, it was the lowest it's ever been in 2014 since 2002, right? And then it went all the way up until now. It keeps going up.
So correlated with happiness, no?
It correlated
That's
with
crazy.
happiness,
Directly
correlated with the liberal administration.
And immigration going up.
And immigration going up.
All 3 things.
These are the things people need to see.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just take a look at this. Look at the state of Canada where it was at 10 years ago.
Right.
People were super happy. Crime was low. And people had more money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everyone's like,
buy houses.
screw that.
Yeah. And I'm sure if you're on the left side of things, you can bring up as many stats as you can to say why it's so great. Right. But if all of this is going on, right, if GDP is so low, if people are so unhappy, and again, we're talking about elections now again, but I feel like, why do you just keep doing the same thing?
Yeah.
It's a definition of insanity.
Yeah.
Right. Repeating the same task, expecting a different result. Right. I was surprised when Trudeau won the last election.
I just
Yeah. I was like, he's not going to win.
Yeah.
Then I was like, he won. How?
That's what I feel like they just get to a point where it's like absolute power corrupts absolutely, right?
Right.
You're just, if they never think they're going to ever lose, you're not going to make any policy changes. You won't be forced to. This is the only time he's doing it, and he's taking Poilievre's ideas because there's some real fear that he might not win.
Yeah. That's a good point. Imagine if Carney actually thought that he was going to win by a landslide.
Yeah. Would he be doing all
tax
this?
would be in place right now.
I don't know.
All of these things he's saying are going away. They would be there right now.
Right?
Because that's probably their way of dealing with the budget, right?
Yeah.
Tax the middle class and then give the lower class as much as you possibly can to buy votes.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know why Canadians don't see past it, right?
I don't know. Did you see what's that company? Klarna, I think it's called. Did you see what they're doing now? They're partnering with the DoorDash. That's the state that most people are. I'm just seeing in generally a lot of this BNPL, buy now, pay later. You can like anything, right?
Yeah.
Generally, if you're financing something, like the only ones that are okay to do is probably, honestly, most people, some people believe that not even a car. You should buy that outright, but a house for sure. You
Wait,
can
what
make
is
installment payment. Klarna?
Yeah.
It's like an app where you can, so they're partnering with DoorDash, so you can make installment payments.
On food that you would order, but
Yeah.
this is in the States.
Yeah. It's in the States, but it also works on things here.
Yeah.
Klarna.
But imagine like if you ordered Uber Eats or Skip the Dishes, right? You didn't have enough money to pay for it. So you just order it, comes to your house, and now you have to pay it later. Kind of
Imagine
like a credit
doing
card,
that.
Yeah, kind of like
Imagine doing that with your Big Mac.
right? So imagine just continue to rack
Be
up
ordering
debt,
the Big Mac.
right? I feel like one thing that immigrants oftentimes, like newer immigrants, don't understand the fractional reserve banking system as much, right?
Oh,
They
for
don't
sure.
understand
Yeah.
what's going on, and a lot of them will go and you'll see them buy these Jeeps and Challengers and Chargers
On
and
their
all
credit
this kind of
cards.
stuff on their credit cards, or not even on the credit
Yeah.
cards, like just straight up car loans.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well,
And
they
like-
come here at 18 and
Yeah.
they're given a credit card right away.
Right.
It's like I used to work in like banking.
Yeah.
They enter, they're really young, they get a credit card, they
Yeah.
get their GIC, whatever it is, and then they just go. They live in these places with like zero, with not much rent because
Right.
20 people are living together.
Yeah.
So what else are they gonna do? They don't understand anything.
The financial literacy is not there, and it's part of the flex culture, right? To show people
Yeah.
that have like whatever. Like I still drive a bust down car that I've had for like 10 years now,
Yeah.
right? Like that's one of our cars, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, Sophie's the thing she drives is a little bit nicer,
Yeah.
but that's not because I can't. If I
Yeah.
wanted to, I could go finance an Escalade and have a Porsche parked in my driveway.
yeah.
It's not like I can't make the payments. Like they could be parked there.
Yeah.
It's just a very stupid thing for me to do because I'm trying to build something as much as I possibly can. If you're not putting your money in places where it's going to grow,
Yeah.
especially in Canada, like
Yeah.
any conversation you guys have with anyone, right? When they talk about investing, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever hear somebody go, yo, man, I was thinking of this startup, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of this thing that I'm working on. Maybe we can all get on the same page. There's a
Yeah.
couple guys coming in on it. Like, what do you guys think? No.
Yeah.
The conversation you're going to have is, bro, I was thinking a couple of the guys are getting together to buy 5 units in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Real estate's the only out that
Yeah,
people
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
It's the way we're set up here, right? GDP is so dependent on housing. That's the only thing people invest in Canada.
And then if we're going to talk about happiness, right? For those people who can't even afford a primary residence, how are they possibly going to be happy?
Exactly. And they also feel that job security is low and like hard work doesn't really pay off anymore.
No.
Because even if you make like 100K used to go a long way. It used to be
I used to
considered
be like rich.
that's an amazing job.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not much now.
No.
Can't get you a house.
No.
Can't do much with it.
Yeah.
So affordability is the one thing. Like economy is going to be huge. Just like you said, this is going to be the money election.
This is the money election.
Yeah.
And they're going to hijack it, trying to turn it into a trade war election. It's not.
Yeah.
Because these tariffs are going to get dealt with no matter what.
Yeah.
At some point, this isn't going to go on for 5 years, guys, where there's no trade deal. It's going to, within the next 2 years, they're going to get dealt with. Whether it's 6 months, whether it's 3 months, whether it's a year, it's going to get dealt with.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But look, these are merely our opinions based on our life experiences, knowledge, and research. Maybe you agree or disagree or simply want to be a part of the conversation. Leave a comment and let us know your thoughts. Now let's get back to the pod. Let's move on to the increased amount of hate towards Teslas. Here's a clip of some angry people vandalizing Teslas.
They almost sprayed him.
On est dernière génération au Canada, un collectif de gens ordinaires.
Okay. Oh,
This is the same group, I think.
this is a crazy person.
Yeah, she's part of that same group, those first two.
So did they get arrested?
This is the United States Embassy.
Oh my god.
Canada, a non-violent civil resistance campaign tackling and demanding a climate disaster protection agency.
Okay.
Right now, the election is coming up, and we need to put climate on the ballot. While billionaires are reaping in profits from our destructions.
Is anyone going to tell her this is the climate election?
That's crazy. The whole parking lot got vandalized.
So this is in Canada.
Vandalized
Those first two were in Canada. I don't know where this is.
cars.
Yeah, the first two were in Montreal,
All
I
the
think,
Tesla
right?
trucks.
Yeah,
The
Montreal.
Tesla and then the United States Embassy. This is just, I think this might be in the States.
This is F. Elon.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
On all the Teslas.
Yeah.
This is in Victoria Park,
It's crazy, man.
behind the Victoria
I don't get
Tower.
it. And there's
That building over
also,
there.
I don't know if you guys saw,
This parking lot has been empty
a bunch of
for
people are
years.
just going around vandalizing random
keys.
Teslas.
Random
Keys.
Tesla. Yeah, that like doesn't even make sense. It's somebody's car.
It's also, every one of these Teslas have a sentry mode,
Yeah.
where they just monitor everything around it. So they're all getting caught now, and people
Right.
are putting out their videos online
Right.
and like confronting them.
Oh my god.
I mean, I saw that, and the irony behind a so-called climate activist
That's what I was gonna say.
who's vandalizing an electric car company
Yeah.
is hilarious.
That's insanely
Right.
ironic.
They're the kind of people who would have 5 years ago been so pro Tesla,
Exactly.
right? But I think some of this hate towards Elon is obviously going to come off of the backlash on Doge, right? People feel like he shouldn't be in position to do
Yeah.
everything he's doing there. And I can understand the controversy behind it. I can also see why he's doing it
Yeah,
because of
yeah.
bureaucracy and the bloat in the
Yeah.
American government. But in Canada specifically, Elon said a lot of shit,
Yeah.
right? Like he said, I think he posted on X once, he said that Canada's not really a real country.
Yeah.
He's also, I think when it was Trudeau, he said something along the lines of, oh, he'll be gone soon,
Yeah.
right? Which in Canada, I mean, even if you're not liberal, right? If you're just a Canadian, right? A part of you is like, bro, that's still our prime minister. Back up a little.
For sure.
Right. And I think obviously if you're liberal, then you just go extreme. Right. And
Yeah.
but these people, I don't, the first two clips there, I think that had nothing to do with that. They're just really mad about climate.
Climate activists.
Right.
Yeah, and they're mad at an electronic car company.
Why? I don't even.
Spraying chemicals.
Yeah.
Right? It's like none of it makes sense.
Thing.
Why are they even? Why'd they choose that? Put climate on the ballot.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe like on this election, like if she hasn't realized, even carbon tax Carney over there is taking away the carbon tax.
Yeah.
This is not the climate election.
For
It's
sure.
not.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to put climate on the ballot, even they know
Yeah.
they're going to lose. Climate's not on the ballot in this election.
Yeah. I feel like with the Elon, him and Trump are just public enemy number one in Canada specifically. But I don't know how much this really, what does this do?
I mean, rightfully so, though, with Elon, Trump specifically, in Canada, you are going to be public enemy number one, which makes it so difficult to have the take of like, hey guys, we still need to trade with the US, right? Like you guys get that we use a lot of American products, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that we make here, they consume. It just makes sense financially to continue this relationship, right?
For sure.
This is just like a bump in the road. It's really hard when you have a guy over there who's just like, they'd be the 51st state and he doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And he says it all the time.
Yeah.
Right? So either you choose to ignore that or you're like, I don't know, maybe this guy's like taking it too far and you get very serious about it. That to me, it seems like a bunch of, I don't know, the hate towards Tesla is from a climate activist seems a little stupid.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But even like Elon tweeted in response to it, like, because pretty bad, the Tesla attacks are like all over Canada and US.
Yeah.
And then he tweeted and said, has there ever been such a level of coordinated violence against a peaceful company? I understand not wanting to buy a product, but this is extreme arson and destruction. Because people are even setting the Teslas on fire.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see them
picture?
setting it
Look at
on
that.
fire.
Yeah.
Are those their own Tesla? No, that's in a car lot.
I think it's
That's
a
a car lot.
Tesla dealership.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
No, that's not warranted. But obviously, he's gonna have to say something like that. But the stock's in a free fall.
Yeah, that's
Right.
the one thing that's getting affected.
I think it's actually on the up recently.
Yeah.
Like I think it
It did
closed out the
rebound a
week.
bit.
It rebounded slightly, but over the last couple of months, it's not doing too good.
For sure.
Right? But I mean, if you're the owner of a publicly traded company,
Yeah.
right, and you're going to get involved in government,
Yeah,
it's probably not the smartest thing.
for sure. I think he's definitely learning that now. He was saying even before that he's getting like an insane amount of death threats. Do you think he's regretting this a bit?
I don't think he's regretting it because up to this point, Trump's had his back. Right?
Yeah.
If this thing goes a little south and this Doge thing goes not how it's planned or is perceived a little bit differently, or
Yeah.
something wrong happens on
Yeah.
that front, and if Trump goes, I don't know why Elon did that, or doesn't fully have his back,
Yeah.
then I think you're going to see the
Then he'll
weird
get more
situation.
scared, right? I think
But-
that's a huge part of it too, the Doge. A lot of people are mad about that too. A lot of people are losing their jobs they've had for years.
Well, listen, I think Elon actually buying X when all of that stuff was happening, I think he actually helped save free speech in the US, right? But the argument can also be made that he's the owner of X,
Yeah.
right? So you can make the same argument in the opposite direction,
Yeah.
right? That he's
bias it.
he's just biasing it towards right-wing media, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to be objective about the situation, if you're completely left, you can look at that and be like, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Right. They're doing the same thing that they said that the left was doing.
Yeah.
Right. So the optics of it all is definitely going to look that way. And
Yeah.
honestly, we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Right. But this whole thing, I think I've said it before when we've talked about the Nazi salute.
Yeah.
I think he's a troll. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I
know he's a troll.
I don't think any part of him is actually a Nazi. And I don't know him personally, just going off of the things that I've read or
Yeah.
any kind of media
Yeah. Yeah.
or seen or consumed or in terms of any kind of media. But I feel like he wasn't ready for this backlash.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't really understand what this accomplishes. Like even the stock, it's tanking. It's already rebounding. It's not going to last forever. That'll be temporary. So what's these people that are just,
Oh, they're just crazy.
and the just keying people's, that's their car,
yeah,
right? You're just going
Yeah,
around
yeah.
damaging somebody's car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a shit. Like,
yeah, okay, then if you're going to take that approach, if there's anyone in Canada, keying Tesla, why aren't they keying Escalades and GMCs and Fords?
Exactly.
Those are American-built cars,
yeah. You're
right?
just-
Like if you hate America so much, right?
They're just hating on Elon.
and then where does it end, right?
Yeah.
It gets kind of stupid at a point.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. They're not thinking about those people that work there, the jobs, the Canadians. that
Yeah.
are like they don't think about that.
No.
What if the person that even bought the car now doesn't agree with Elon or anything that's going on? That's just a car, man. You're just
I have those bumper stickers. I bought this Tesla
Yeah.
before Elon went.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like
I don't think for the first time, but I think politics is getting more of a issue amongst people, like how Republican and Democrats are. They're so separate and the argument gets real. I think that's starting to happen in Canada. And to me, it doesn't bother me if somebody's a liberal. I'm not going to hate them automatically. I also don't care if somebody's a conservative or if they want to go support Maxime Bernier or the Green Party. That's your choice, right? If you're a good person, I'm cool, right? As long as, in a lot of ways, like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? But today, I feel like you need a conservative government. That's why I think Poilievre's the best option Canada has right now, right? But we don't know what's going to happen 8 years from now, 10 years from now. You have to be objective, like Simmer was saying. Right? But I feel like a lot of people now, because of the temperature in the country, they could very easily just get mad at somebody for their political views.
Yeah.
Right? It's a ridiculous thing to do, to me.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't get it, man. And like, I can kind of get like damaging Tesla place, but the personal attacks on people's cars, I That's stupid.
I mean, Elon's the richest guy in the world, right? I don't think the guy owns Twitter,
That's not
and he
gonna
owns
impact
Tesla,
that.
right? He owns SpaceX, he owns Starlink, right? If you're gonna go to a couple of dealerships and ruin a couple of cars, that's like him buying a coffee. You think he can't get over that?
Yeah.
Right? It's just bad press, which he'll get through eventually.
Yeah.
But this isn't going to affect him.
No,
His stock was tanking before that,
Yeah.
right? Like. It's more so just climate people being annoyed that people are anti-climate at this point, and they're like, we don't want carbon tax, we don't want any of this, and their party, the people that they thought was for that, even those guys are saying, hey,
It doesn't
no,
make
this ain't
sense.
the
Like,
time.
why target the EVs? Nothing about it makes sense.
Like
So
when at the
stupid.
Hummer dealership, like no, Right?
They don't make Hummers anymore, right?
No, they have the Hummer EVs, so maybe it's the same thing. But yeah, anything else to add there? We're good.
I'm good.
Okay, let's move on to the Celtics. Recently sold for a record-breaking $6.1 billion.
That's crazy. 6.1 billion.
I didn't even know NBA teams could be worth that much.
Really?
Yeah,
Well,
that's so much money.
We all learn now that it's worth that much. It's a record, right?
Yeah.
The last time, I think the Clippers broke the record too.
What they were sold?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they did.
That was back, I think, right after Kawhi left us, right? They bought him right around that time or right just before,
Yeah.
right? He went to LA. I think that was around 2020 or 2019 or something like that.
Yeah.
Who bought it?
Who bought this?
Yeah.
I forget the guy's name.
It's one guy?
Probably not. It might be a group.
Here, hold on. I'm trying to pull that up. Okay, here. Yeah, so like they sold for 6.1 billion.
Yeah.
Before that, the Washington Commanders sold for 6.05 billion. Right?
Okay.
So this was obviously the new record, right? The NFL team.
Yeah.
Before that, NBA, the Dallas Mavericks sold for 3.5 billion.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Forgot about the Mavericks.
Yeah, when Cuban
yeah.
sold his
Okay.
majority stake, and then the
But even that.
Charlotte Hornets, Jordan sold them for 3 billion.
Okay. Even those were 3 though. They doubled that, right?
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Brooklyn Nets 2.35,
Yeah.
and way down the list, Houston Rockets 2.2. The Clippers sold for 2 billion on the dot in 2014.
2 billion.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, these numbers, even this number, it didn't shock me that much. This league makes so much money, right? All these leagues do. These player contracts are out of control.
Yeah.
The owner bought the team back in 2002.
Yeah.
Guess how much he bought it for?
If I had to guess, the couple hundred million, few hundred million.
You're right. But
Yeah.
like 360 million. Check out that return on investment.
Right?
Holy. That's crazy.
Yeah. Maybe we could
300. You want to buy us worse?
right? Maybe like that guy that bought the Oilers.
Yeah. Just pull that off somehow. But I don't know. It's crazy. And
Yeah.
their ratings are so down too. Like, I don't know how they're generating so much money.
So the thing about the TV ratings, I feel like it's been like this thing that people are pushing. But recently, I was doing a little bit of research on it.
Yeah.
And people are saying it's a little bit overblown.
Okay.
Right. I think I even read. It was somewhere around. Like it's basically catching up to what it was last year,
Okay.
and
This Luka trade is probably definitely helping.
I think now think
Yeah.
it's changed, right? But I
Yeah.
was reading a couple articles. I can't find them right now, but
Yeah.
they're talking about how NBA's TV ratings are coming back
Okay.
now, right? And they're not as bad as people are saying.
Yeah.
But a lot of what that's driving this revenue, it was that TV deal that they
Yeah.
signed last year. I feel like in November they signed it, and it goes into effect the 2025-2026 season, right?
Okay.
That I think the deal was for
What I feel like it was like 10 billion or something.
way more. It's a 11-year run, and it's $76 billion.
Never mind.
Right, for 11 years, right. So a lot of the money is based off of that. That's done with ESPN, ABC, so Disney, NBC, and Amazon.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah, viewers are trending upwards. It's down 5% from last season,
Yeah.
but it's trending upwards now.
yeah,
This was in February, so
yeah.
yeah.
So I think I read the same article. I just couldn't find it now. But that's
Yeah.
So basically, NBA TV ratings were down, but they're coming back a little bit now. So I think because there was this political push that woke is broke kind of
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
and
NBA
even
is
that
pretty woke.
Yeah, NBA is pretty woke, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you can't love the NBA,
Yeah.
right? Like I hate the woke ideology, but I grew up watching the NBA. I still love the NBA.
For sure.
Right? Like it's not going to change my mind on it.
But do you feel like if the product continues, I think it's diminishing, like the player empowerment and them not playing and all this resting and stuff. Do you think this will just last and it'll just get through that?
I think it's a weird time for basketball because after this TV deal, it's 11 years, so they don't have to worry about it now. But the whole thing's gonna move to streaming.
Yeah.
Right. Like who consumes cable TV?
Yeah.
Right. Like you even saw with football.
Yeah.
A lot of those Amazon games.
Yeah.
Right. Or even Jake
Netflix
Paul flight. Right. Netflix, and even there was an NFL game on Netflix. No.
Yeah. Christmas.
Yeah. A Christmas game.
Yeah.
Right. And I think you do more numbers on streaming services
for sure.
Right? So
it's just easier for people to get it and watch it, right?
But I think like the thing for me personally, and this might be a personal bias, I liked the NBA with super teams.
Yeah.
There was a lot of super team. We need more parity, and people always argued that, right? But to me, it gives you a hero, it gives you a villain, it gives you a story arc for the casual fans, right? And I was a diehard fan when it came to basketball when I was younger, but these days I don't have enough time to consume that many sports, right? And consume that many hours of sports. I'm not fortunate enough to just sit there and watch so many games, right?
Yeah.
So to me, I feel like it just makes it more interesting to fans when you have certain things like that going on, right? Like I kind of like right now Boston, what they have going on there. And you're starting to see what Golden State's doing. You're starting to see what the Lakers did, right? And obviously, you don't want to count out OKC.
Yeah.
And you don't want to count out Denver.
Yeah. There's Cleveland too.
Yeah, and there's Cleveland. But I feel like I kind of like a little bit of like LeBron, Luka,
for sure,
Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Steph, Jimmy Butler. Like I like that.
When they're super teams, so I don't watch a lot of basketball.
Yeah.
Does that team win every year? Does that happen?
No, it's just a couple of teams just stay near the top.
Yeah.
And they're...
So is that still fun?
For me,
I think it is. Like you're saying.
So it's kind of like liberals?
I guess.
What do you mean?
So liberals have been
staying
winning
in
for so
power,
long,
she's
they're
saying.
staying in power?
Oh, no. I don't think it's like that's not no fun for nobody.
But I feel like if you just use the NFL as a case study, just look at where they've been at. They're having the most success they've ever had. They're just breaking records, viewership, right? Look who's been at the top for like how long now? KC. Right. And before that, it was Brady. Even the NBA was doing that for a while, and then they shifted towards this parody thing. And I feel like it did. Like a lot of people don't have time anymore to consume that much.
The parody stuff started with LeBron, right?
Yeah.
Once he went to the Miami Heat, and from there, everyone started complaining about parody, right?
Yeah.
But before that, it's not like you didn't have Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker, even though they were naturally created right through the draft, right? And then it's not like you didn't have Kobe and Shaq, right? It's not like Dallas wasn't always a powerhouse. It's not like Phoenix didn't get Amari Stoudemire, Steve Nash, and
for sure.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What do you mean by parody?
Parody? Just
the same level?
Yeah, everybody being
like a lot of teams can fight for the championship instead of having a couple of powerhouse teams, right?
Because like small market teams like an OKC or like Cleveland, even they argue that like they can't get eyes, they can't get people watching their team and stuff, right?
So it's like you give them better players type of thing?
No, they make it so difficult with the hard cap and the current financial structure in the NBA for teams to have three superstars.
Oh, I see.
Right, like Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron being on a team, or Steph, Clay, Durant, and Draymond.
Right.
You can't do that.
You can't pay them that much.
Right. So like they have Luka and LeBron on the Lakers, for example. If they were trying to get, I don't know, Giannis on that, it's hard. You'd have no team. You'd have a bunch of G Leaguers. Even if I don't even know if that's possible.
I don't even think it's possible.
Right? With the current cap rules. You could even work something out like that.
Yeah.
But they did that intentionally to disincentivize that.
Yeah.
Right, because they think it's bad for the league. I don't think it's bad for the league. That's my take on it. I don't think people talk about it enough. I think
can argue that it mixes it up. No, I believe that how is it bad for? I don't want
parody.
Yeah.
How is it bad?
Yeah.
Would anybody, if you're not from Los Angeles, if Shaq wasn't on the team, are you watching?
That's the thing. People want to watch
if
big
Jordan
names.
didn't win 6 rings, if they weren't the most winningest team, are you watching?
Yeah.
If Tim Duncan didn't have Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker, are you watching?
Yeah.
If LeBron wasn't on Miami with Dwayne Wade, are you watching? He was in Cleveland. Were they getting mad views? No.
Yeah.
Right? It changed when he went to Miami. If Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen didn't go team up with
So
Paul
you're
Pierce,
trying to say like you'd only watch a team if they're winning?
I'm saying when you create a super team, it's something to root for and root against, which drives views, right? If you're a hardcore fan, then you're going to be like, no, that's unfair. And I get it because I was a kid once and watching that and watching your city lose year after year after year.
Yeah. After year after year after year.
The Raptors got one, right? But I think as you get older, it's nice when you don't have, not nice, but like when you can see
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
superstars play and like a high level of basketball.
Yeah.
Like for example, when we saw the Four Nations face off,
Yeah.
right? And everyone was tuned in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You had superstars playing.
Yeah.
That's what made that game high pace.
Yeah.
Right. And what the take I have, there's going to be like 70% of the people that disagree with this take. Right?
Yeah.
Like you're stupid, right?
For
But
sure.
to me, I think the super team era was a great era for the NBA.
Yeah.
Do you think that too, Andy?
Yeah, I tend to agree with him because, any league that has success, you need a villain.
Right.
Just like in the NFL too.
Story.
Like, look how many people hate the Chiefs. A lot.
Yeah.
It feels like just as much like them and just as much hate them.
Yeah.
It's always good for the league. It props up the league, gets more eyes on it. But these numbers are crazy. I feel like one day, sooner than later, somebody's going to sign like a crazier contract. They might sign $1 billion contract. Even the players, I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean,
I think they've already touched like $500,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially in baseball, those contracts are crazy.
And baseball, if you want to talk about ratings on the decline.
Yeah, right? Who love watching baseball? Yeah. But they keep paying them too.
Right.
I wish I had a team.
But that's it for the stories. Let's move on to off topic.
Okay, first topic. So this season on Love is Blind, I don't think there's any Love is Blind fans except me.
Okay.
But it just so the big topic that they were talking that was discussed was prenups.
Okay.
So whatever, a couple they talked about it. They didn't end up getting married for other reasons.
Yeah.
Okay.
But prenups was like it was like surrounded by it. So it just made me think like I never personally thought I would need one.
Yeah.
And unless I had like crazy amounts of money.
Yeah,
Like, how do you guys feel about that?
So for me, that's what it boils down to, right?
Yeah.
I can understand it if you're like an athlete or somebody with a lot of money, and
What was your regular Joe Blow? You think they need
I
a
don't-
prenup?
like, I mean, me personally, I didn't get one, right?
Yeah, no, neither did we.
Yeah.
It wasn't even discussed.
Yeah,
though.
same, right?
So, like discussing it.
I'm not completely against it, but I feel like you're going into something, right? If you want to look at the marriage as a contract, you're going into something that you think is going to end one day.
Is that how you
necessarily.
feel?
That's how I view it, huh?
Oh.
Not necessarily, just maybe to protect yourself in case,
In
because
case.
of the statistic that 50% of marriages end in divorce.
Yeah.
So just to be protected.
I don't think that I would have a problem having the conversation.
Yeah.
Which is what was going on in the show, that they were actually having problems that it was even being brought up.
Yeah, I don't have a problem discussing.
I think it depends on, even with your average Joe Blow. Obviously, if you're an athlete or something, you're gonna have a prenup. If you
Right.
don't,
You
you're
should.
an idiot.
Yeah.
Right. But if it's your average person, then I feel like it depends on how late in life you get married. Right, because the likelihood of somebody who's getting married in their late 30s, they probably do have some assets, right?
Yeah,
Maybe
more
they own a condo,
sure.
maybe they own a rental property,
That's a
maybe the
fair
person that they fell in love with doesn't, right? Maybe they're not there, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if you're in your mid to late 20s or earlier, like, I don't know, early 20s or
Yeah,
even
yeah.
early 30s,
Who's getting married in the early 20s?
some people used to, not these days.
These days.
But if you're talking about like mid to late 20s
Yeah.
kind of thing or early 30s, the likelihood is that like both people probably have similar assets, right? So they're probably not going to discuss why they need to, what's going to happen in terms of you dividing the asset. Usually in those kind of cases, you make a lot of your wealth afterwards together,
For sure.
right? But if it is a situation where one person predominantly dominates the amount of assets that
Yeah.
you have, I think
Brought to the marriage.
yeah, I don't know. It's a weird conversation to have there because then it's a little bit of what you're saying, right? That the relationship is going to.
You think it's a trust, like people can get trust issues from it? Because that's what they said.
Yeah.
That you're saying that we're just gonna get divorced. I don't know. I didn't see it as like so emotional.
Yeah.
Like I saw it as like you're just protecting yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
If
I mean,
worst case scenario
in relationships, people can get emotional about where you park the car on the driveway.
Yeah.
Shit happens, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you bring up money, especially if somebody's not expecting it,
Yeah.
they're gonna get emotional, right? But if both people are making similar amount of money and they have similar types of assets, then it's kind of like its own security blanket right there, right?
Yeah.
But if they don't, then it's a weird situation, right? And probably for them, if they're talking about prenups, one person probably has more money, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't.
The whole premise of the show is they're meeting each other. Like they're not meeting each other.
They
but
don't see, right?
They don't see each other. But the whole thing is like weeks, like not long.
Right.
And then they get married.
And then they get married.
So then they definitely should have.
Yeah.
They should all have prenups.
Yeah.
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 In that scenario.
But a lot of parents and stuff were getting offended. I don't see, okay, like I get it.
Yeah.
I just don't see, I don't understand getting offended by it.
Okay. I'm gonna take a different lens at
Because
this,
I'm
right?
just thinking, okay, me and you.
Okay, I'm not
It
thinking
didn't
about
even come
us.
up. Okay.
Don't think about us.
Yeah.
Think about you as a mom now,
Yeah.
right?
So yeah,
let's say
Okay.
that obviously in our life we hope to accumulate a significant amount of assets, right? We work really hard. We're already headed down that path, right? Let's say our daughter decides to marry somebody who's a little bit less fortunate, right? Or vice versa. It could happen either way,
Yeah.
right? You think as a parent, you're not going to a little bit be like, hey, listen,
Maybe you should.
right?
Watch there, you immediately understand it.
Yeah.
I did.
Like, hey, listen,
When you
we
look at
bought
it
you
that
that
way.
condo, right? That cost $1.2 million. Like maybe this guy who makes $70,000 a year, like, hey,
Yeah.
no, right? Like,
I mean, I think it's good to be open to the discussion. It's not a horrible thing.
it's more of a new age topic. Like,
Yeah.
people weren't talking. Well,
Back in the
actually,
day-
celebrities and stuff always probably had it.
Yeah. But I feel like now even just like average Joes.
Yeah.
how do you
becoming
feel
more normal.
if your kid was in that position?
Right away, right when you said that, I'm like,
And then you understand it, right?
I
Like, if
understand
this
it
were a guy's
right away.
kid,
Yeah.
Take away
I'm
the
like,
inheritance.
I gotta look up or do that. Like,
be like, yeah,
You got
she's like,
married,
"Yeah,
you're out of the will."
prenup." You're like, yeah, okay, you're out of the will.
But yeah, it's like I guess it could be a touchy subject.
Yeah.
But we can move on.
Okay.
Okay, next topic. We talk about a Biofire Smart Gun.
So this is America's first biogun that's actually on the market and you can buy it. So it's like a smart gun. So it has like a built-in fingerprint scanner and facial recognition software. So only the person that the gun is registered to or owns it, they can use it. So only if they're holding it, then they can shoot it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So and then it locks and it becomes unusable if somebody else is holding it. And I guess it's for like gun safety.
Yeah.
And this is the video that they like put up to kind of market it.
Okay. Oh.
Like they just have it on their shelf. Like
Wow,
it's just
just
an
like decoration.
Okay, I don't know about that.
Just like a 9mm just on decoration.
Oh, look at this commercial. Okay, now this is painting a completely different picture.
Like little kids are around, but they're
Okay,
trying to
this-
make it seem like it's completely safe to just have out in the open. Because even though little kids are around,
Yeah.
they can't use it.
Yeah, that commercial is weird.
Right? And he's like, oh, I'm breaking.
Isn't that so
How he just
I
got
was
out of
on
bed and his
board.
wife was unalarmed. He's like, oh, somebody's breaking in.
Don't worry, I got this.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it in theory, but the commercial really kind of turned me off from it. But
It's just not a culture though we're used to.
I feel completely different. If you're getting a gun and you're keeping it in the house, like how they're saying
Yeah.
it, in a situation where you're gonna need it, you're gonna be like, and
Yeah.
then like, how are you gonna possibly like? What if your fingerprint reader doesn't work? What if the lights are dim? You can't scan your face, and now
That's
what?
a lot of like firearm enthusiasts are against it.
Yeah.
They're like, what if it malfunctions when you really need it?
yeah,
So yeah, that
Because usually when you're gonna grab a weapon like that, it's life and
you
death.
need it right away.
yeah, you need
Right.
it right away.
I feel like in the States they would love that. They probably love a gun in every room, right? I've never really been pro like firearms, but I think in the States they have so much crime, and I see crime rising here, and you see break-ins all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something that like I'm starting to kind of consider a little bit. I don't think it's the worst thing if you have it. Like if you have it in a safe somewhere, that's what a lot of people say. You have it in the master bedroom in a safe. That's kind of like if you just have it in your closet upstairs in your room.
Yeah, I mean, to what you're saying, when the Toronto police chief, was it? I don't know if it was a police chief, but when he said when there was a massive amount of cars being stolen, he was like, just leave your keys closer to the door, right? So there's no problem, right? In that kind of environment,
Leave the door unlocked too. Let them come on in.
Yeah, just take whatever you want. Just put up a sign, right? Like it's stupid, right? But in that kind of environment, like maybe if crime's not going to be controlled, like we've been seeing it since 2015, it's been violent crime's been skyrocketing, right? A part of, I don't know, I never really gave it much thought until you said it now.
Yeah.
Do you think there should be
More
gun laws need to be looked at in Canada?
Maybe. If for anything, even obviously, I think a lot of people that even own guns feel like they never really want to use them. But imagine if, because these criminals, they know nobody has guns in Canada.
Yeah.
They're
Like
breaking,
maybe deter them.
just as a deterrent, right? Like if you break in, well, you might die.
Right.
Right? Maybe they'll stop. I don't know.
Yeah, the break-ins, like stealing cars is one thing, but breaking in, how brave these criminals
But that's how they're stealing the cars even. They're all breaking in, getting the keys and then.
They're doing it in front of the owners.
You've seen
man.
videos.
They don't even
like,
care.
Give me the keys.
Kids,
Yeah,
too.
Give me the keys. Yeah, and they're little kids.
They're all kids, man. They're super young.
No, but even like when there's kids in the house.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care.
It's
They don't care.
I've never felt this, like I've never considered it this strongly, and I have friends that have already gotten guns.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Yeah,
People are worried, right? Crime through the roof, man.
yeah.
Okay, next story. So I've been seeing a lot of things about Cocomelon. You could see already like how bright the colors are.
Yeah.
Like imagine a child watching this.
Yeah.
So a lot of parents have been like, your child should never watch Cocomelon. It's really like, it's not good for like a child's development.
Yeah.
So obviously the overstimulation, bright colors, but then they were like, I saw a documentary on it where the guy who made it, he made it to almost hypnotize a kid.
Really?
So they have bright colors, repetitive songs. It's overstimulating. They do really fast paced activities, and it's rapid scene movements. And like I've watched it too, and like when she watches it, she zones out.
Yeah.
Like I'm not against TV by any means. But I don't like her watching Coco.
Yeah.
I don't even play it.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Like it's like she's almost like in a trance.
That's crazy.
So now they're like they're calling it like a dopamine high. Like people are like, I don't know that this was a good type of show to make. Like I just or they even like the colors, they're not complementary. So your eyes are just like laser focused on it. Like and a little kid.
Yeah.
Right? It causes like delayed speech development.
Oh no.
They learn, so kids learn by like playing and exploring.
Right.
It takes that away.
Right.
Yeah.
They more of like passive learning. There's difficult. So a lot of kids, they've like did these experiments where they would let them watch it for like 40 minutes and turn it off. The kid would lose their mind, throw a tantrum. They can't switch to the next activity.
Yeah.
Not even to like eating, to like go, like it's, I don't know. It's wild.
Yeah.
Like I don't never want to play this show again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our daughter never really watched it that much because like, from the beginning we were like, we're not.
Because we had kind of heard that like, maybe they shouldn't watch it.
When you're about to have kids, especially in this day and age, you have to think about screen time and how it works. Every parent has a different way of approaching it. But something on the side of like what she was saying about screen cuts and stuff like that. Looking at video production with a lot of things that we do now, like looking at it from that side of things, you are always trying to be engaging. You're always trying to move scenes around. You're always trying to do flash cuts. That's what you do to captivate an audience. So it's not far-fetched to think that they're going to do that with kids.
And like an underdeveloped brain.
Yeah. It's diabolical to do it to kids. But
I don't love the idea of marketing to kids in general, like at all, right? Because they're so easy to influence, right?
And don't other kids' TV shows also do that? Like not just Cocomelon?
I think why
There are other TV shows, but sometimes they like, so they use the example of Bluey where they there's not so many like bright colors. Like there are bright colors, but it's not like this. Like crack.
Yeah, I've never seen the show, but it does get a lot of hate.
Yeah.
Well, that specific animation style, as right when it came out, I wasn't a fan of it. Like,
Yeah.
like how they look and stuff.
Yeah.
If you see other kids' TV shows, right? Like if you have a toddler or whatever,
Yeah.
like most of those are, if they're like Bluey, right? Or even Peppa Pig, like I'm not a massive fan of it.
Yeah.
I do like Bluey.
It's more like simple.
Yeah.
You could call it like simple drawings. Like think about even the
It's
shows
not
that we
this.
grew up watching.
Yeah,
More
Yeah.
puppets.
Right.
More like no 3D sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, let's move on. Next story. So there was this couple in West Virginia. So they had adopted a bunch of kids. So they adopted 5. So they were black children.
Okay.
Okay.
They kept them in this shed, and they used to basically work them on their farm as if, like, quote unquote, they were slaves.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So they had cameras in the shed. This is where so let me just tell you about the shed. There was also they were pepper sprayed. They were forced to stand for certain periods of time. So I watched a video on it. They would have to wake up super early and then just stand with like their hands on their head.
Why?
Just
Why?
no reason. That was just how they controlled them. They legit treated them like that.
For no reason other than
They made them work.
Mm-hmm.
So they did farm labor. There was no means to exit the shed.
yeah.
They weren't allowed in the main. Like there was a main house and then there was this shed house. There was 5 children.
So they're really adopting
They
this.
collected $318,000 of adoption assistance while
Wow.
subjecting the children to severe mistreatment. The children slept on the concrete floor. There was no running water, no bathroom.
Oh god.
Wild. No, and the only reason they even got caught is that a neighbor saw the man locking one of the girls in the shed, so he called the police and said do a welfare check.
Wow.
So when they went and checked it, they found like there was 5 children that they had adopted.
Did they get charged?
So they got sentenced to 215 years. One of them, 160 years. The other one,
Good.
Without eligibility for parole?
well, 250
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Where was this?
They'll be eligible. West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Oh wait, they will be eligible for parole after serving a significant portion of their sentence.
Okay, so obviously they're not.
But I thought like you go through a very rigorous process to even be able to
Right?
adopt.
Aren't they
I've just
vetting
heard
these people?
Such crazy stories about adoption and about like and then they adopted them from a vulnerable sort of adoption agency. So I think it was like a situation where they just wanted to get these children adopted. But I've like come across like lots of like essay involved and like just really crazy adoption stories about that system.
Yeah.
Like when children get put into it, like child.
No.
So it seems pretty planned then. They went to a vulnerable agency like
And they
that.
got like black children.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And the
to
way
me.
they're doing it, the way you said it, there's a main house and like they're adopting the
the
mentality.
way they make
of,
them get up, it's like there was like
That's-
a prison that they would and they would watch them with these webcams.
That's
The
disgusting.
video footage is wild.
And how old were these kids?
They were between. So one of them was young. So one of them stayed with them in the main house, and they were 12 and 14.
That's
So they
crazy.
were teenagers.
It's crazy that even the adoption agency isn't going to think for a second
To do a
that
welfare
there's-
check, something,
that
right?
There's 2 white people that keep adopting black kids.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Why are they doing
Right?
this?
Why are they doing this?
Yeah.
Or
Right.
they
I guess-
should periodically come check, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
Maybe they get around it somehow. I don't know.
Maybe they just put on a front.
Yeah.
No, but even the kids, if you're, I don't know how old were the kids?
They're teenagers, but some of them were younger.
Yeah. So if that's happening, if somebody ever comes to do a welfare check, you're gonna be
Get me out of here.
seen right
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, some kids like they don't like. There's so many times where there's abuse and stuff, and people don't want to give up their abuser, right?
Yeah.
Like, the kids were scared, and it said that they were scared to like, so they would probably act right.
Yeah.
That's horrible. man.
Yeah. No, it's really messed up what they did, and then court. She was even just like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for how I treated you."
Nobody
So
cares about that shit.
Yeah.
You'd be in prison for the rest of your life.
no, like that was your response. Like you should. Oh, you
Yeah.
should do
That's
worse than
wild.
Yeah.
that.
Kids don't deserve that.
All right, but let's move on to our last story. It's about those astronauts.
Okay.
Yeah. So these astronauts went to space and they were only supposed to be gone for 10 days, their mission. but they returned to Earth after 9 months. They were in space. So it's Sunny and Butch. So it was a man and a woman. The woman was 59 and the man is 62. So like that's pretty insane. There's pictures of them before they left, and they look, pretty excited, happy.
Yeah.
So then there's pictures of them when they came back, and like a lot of things change when you're in outer space. So like when they first landed, they couldn't even walk. Because like there's no gravity in space, and like some other things that happen, like also like your height can change. So you can gain a couple inches while you're in space because there is no gravity. And it can there is no gravity to keep the spinal column compressed, resulting in elongation as the fluid-filled discs elongate, right? So then you get a little bit taller, and then, but when you come back on Earth, like that process reverses itself, and like you can get a lot of like chronic pain from doing that. So it's like, they signed up to only go to space for 10 days, then they're gone for 9 months, and each month it's like harder to do. And then even when they come back, they have to do like a rigorous rehabilitation process to like get back to normal.
It would be different if they knew it was a 9-month mission. Then like they'd probably be better prepared for it, right?
Yeah,
their body and like what they're gonna go through.
Yeah, they've lost so much muscle mass from like being in there, and then there's like crazy amounts of space radiation. I feel like even these medical tests, like I don't know what the radiation is gonna did to their bodies for that long. Like
for every month in space, astronauts' weight-bearing bones can lose 1% of their density.
Damn.
Unless they exercise to help mitigate it. So like they had a treadmill on board, and so they would like run on that. But like, so this increases every month that they're there. So like it got worse over.
Wasn't this Elon?
He brought them back.
SpaceX.
Did something good.
It was so weird though, like how like the conspiracies between them staying there. Like Trump was like Biden kept them there.
Biden did everything.
That's just what I heard. It was just weird that they were only supposed to go such a short amount of time, and they were given like there's a picture there of them getting stuff at Christmas. So people were coming and giving them things, but I don't know why they stayed and the other people would go back. Like, I just didn't understand it.
People were coming and giving them things
because that Christmas thing, because they only went for 2 weeks, right?
But
then they had all that Christmas stuff.
How did they get it?
Yeah,
that's true.
Maybe they just sent it with them or something.
No, because there was no plan to stay till Christmas.
Oh, that is weird then.
And I don't know if it works that way, the way that the space station is. Like, I don't think you can just dock any kind of spaceship to it to get people on and off. I would assume it's something like that.
Well, they couldn't come back because there was some faulty issues with the rocket, but the rocket came back no problem. Like there was no damage to it. They couldn't be aboard of it.
It all seems weird. It always seemed weird. I saw the videos of them
coming back, right?
Couldn't even walk and stuff.
I mean, while she was there, I know, like, even if you're not paying attention to the story, like the crazy hair. That's just like, I feel like the picture.
She looks like she aged.
Yeah.
Crazy too. Just 9 months.
They were already kind of old, but
yeah.
Most astronauts are kind of old.
Yeah. That's crazy.
No.
At least they're back now.
So those are all our stories off topic.
Okay. Let's move on to the question segment. So I kind of want to piggyback off of our last topic. It's a 2-part question. So would you ever go to space?
Not now. Like that. Probably not, man.
If money wasn't a concern.
What if you're getting paid for it? Like you're asking.
Oh, even their pay. That was a big thing about this story too.
Yeah.
They didn't get any overtime. They got like $5 a day. Apparently Trump is saying he's going to reimburse them for more, but they only made in 9 months like $1,500.
Well, I did see that Trump said he was going to personally reimburse them.
Yeah, he's gonna
Personally?
Yeah.
But imagine that, like they should be paid
Mhm.
for the
100%.
overtime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should sue whoever the hell
It's Biden's
sent them
fault,
there.
right?
They should
It's
be-
Biden's fault.
But yeah, to Simmer's question, would you go to space? That's difficult. If it's just like a routine thing, I think it's something that seeing the Earth from outer space is probably
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Right, it probably lets you see how small life is. Maybe I've heard there's people who talk about how it makes you realize how insignificant certain things are on Earth. So
Yeah.
maybe there's a humbling aspect to it. I think it could be cool, but like risking everything if you have a family, wife, kids, all of that while you're building things here, I think it's a little difficult. But if I was in the stage of life where I was like 60, kids are kind of grown, you know, you don't have anything for sure. Why wouldn't I want to be in the sky seeing things that I haven't seen before?
Yeah. I don't know how long it
I don't know, 'cause
takes.
it's dangerous.
I
What
wouldn't
if you
want
get
to.
stuck there? I wouldn't want to either. I have
Really?
zero desire.
Zero saying.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to Mars.
That's
Like,
what I'm saying. How,
That was my second part of the
life.
question.
Oh, my bad.
If you were paid $1 million to relocate to Mars,
Yeah.
would you do it?
But it's not. It doesn't. It's not sustainable to life.
Yeah.
If it is like let's say
I don't know. I've
in the
seen
future.
videos of these astronauts and the way they have to shower, the way they have to go to the
Doesn't seem
bathroom.
fun.
No,
No,
doesn't seem
none of
worth
it.
it.
Seems so unnecessary to put yourself through that for what?
I would
just
only
to see it.
like if there's a way I could go for like a week and then come back, then I would consider.
I would couple of hours.
Yeah,
I'd be
we
good with
just go
that.
out.
Let's just go a little bit around.
Maybe
and
just a
back.
tour to see
But
how we
honestly,
look.
like I don't feel comfortable flying right now, so I'm not
Yeah.
gonna take a rocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably no. I don't know.
For Mars would be a no for me because I feel like I don't know. It's too risky.
The risk reward
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah,
balance it.
I don't even
Yeah,
think
because
it's
it's
the
further.
even if the monetary value was, even if she didn't say $1 million, she said $1 billion.
Yeah.
Even then, I don't know.
But you could just give that to your family.
Wow. Wow. Just a
Just
donkey.
sacrifice it.
It's just like, all right, guys, have a great life. I'm gonna go to
3
Mars.
months.
No, I feel like if you go to Mars,
Need
you,
for
you
astronaut things.
yeah. But imagine, okay, different scenario. If you're up there and then now Earth is gonna get hit with some sort of catastrophic event,
Yeah.
and you get to live,
Alone.
not alone.
Good. I'll
Some-
just go.
You'd rather die?
I'd
go
rather
to Mars?
die, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys would rather die.
Yeah.
Am I
I
the
mean,
only one that likes
Everyone's
living?
going.
Yeah,
I'm
if everyone's
going
gonna die
Okay.
on Earth, like
To answer the question, Mars, no. I wouldn't go.
These
Space,
guys are
baby.
just like,
Space,
I'd rather
maybe.
die. I'm like, trying to be-
Space, I'd go for like a week or a day trip.
a day trip. Look at this guy.
Okay, next question. So we'll do how many years are you willing to go without the following? So how many years are you willing to go without music? 2, without wearing hats. 3, without shopping for clothes for yourself. And 4, without eating pizza. And the years are 6, 12, 18, 24.
Okay. So
I don't really care about any of those.
Really?
Pizza
Not
is
that
a
hard.
weird-
Yeah, so
When
pizza.
I was coming up with this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even know. These are so hard. You know,
I don't wear hats.
you guys do.
Yeah, we do, but I can get.
I can-
my hair is alright.
I cannot wear
Like, I
Buy
cannot wear a
clothes.
hat.
Yeah,
I thought that would
whatever.
be hard
We
for
don't
you,
buy
the hat
that much
one.
clothes.
Yeah, but like somebody else buying clothes for you. I kind of like the way I dress. I don't want somebody.
Wait, what was it? It was just buying clothes, no?
your own clothes.
Yeah, without shopping for clothes for yourself.
for yourself.
okay.
So somebody else's shop, you still gotta
Or you
wear
just-
clothes
Wear the clothes you have for 6 years.
Yeah.
for 6 years.
Yeah.
I can get
Other
that.
people don't shop for you.
Oh,
That's not
okay,
part of
then,
it.
yeah.
Why'd you add on your own?
I don't know. Maybe I was confused.
I don't care about the hats or the clothes.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
Pizza? I would want to
Pizza.
eat pizza.
Yeah.
That's-
Pizza would be number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And then
What was
So the least amount of years for
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
least
So
amount of-
6 years without eating.
6 years without pizza, a lot.
we
That's
should
a
do
long
like
time.
2, 4, 6, 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is hard.
No, I know.
6
I
years
feel like I
without
eat pizza like once a week at least.
Yeah, 6
I
years is
love
a long
pizza.
time.
Yeah.
Pizza's
What's
pretty
the-
good.
Pizza's got to be the lowest.
So without music.
Oh, music.
Music would be second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? If not first. Is music better than
It's
pizza?
music or pizza.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that matter a
And
lot.
hats and clothes.
I think hats would be
like
less.
pasta, like if you want to somewhat kind of like pizza, not the same, but lasagna and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's similar ish. Music first for me. Then
Music?
pizza.
Music's, you don't realize how much you like music.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
music
don't
would
want
be
it?
first for
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah.
For me.
Okay. Sophia thought about it for a second and she's like, still pizza. So pizza, then music, and then we'll go clothes
Pizza,
and then
music.
So 6 years
Close
without
enough.
eating pizza.
Yeah.
12 years without music. 18 years without shopping for clothes. And then 24 years you can't wear hats.
18 is a lot.
Hats, like,
You guys wear hats all the time.
the hats
hats
also
are
include like
fine.
toques, like in the
But I
winter
can
time.
get
You
by
can't wear
without
that. Even
one, it's
hoods.
fine.
You can't wear that.
No, I'm fine with all of that. The clothes is a little concerning.
What?
That's
You
your
can't put it
sweater.
on your head though.
That's not a hat.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And with that, remember, we're not experts on anything, and you guys should always do your own research, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Take care, everybody.